Yo, what is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. And I know it's been some time, and I know you can tell there's been a change in some things. I've upgraded my setup a little bit, but that's beyond the point. Today, we're gonna come back, and we're gonna come back pretty hard. We're gonna do a tier list, but this tier list is going to rank all the Final Fantasy jobs and where I think they fit in the meta of the current end game of the game. So, if you like any of the placements, be sure to like the video, be sure to subscribe, and also be sure to share the video. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the video. And poof, we're here. Okay, like I said earlier, this is going to be a tier list of the jobs that are currently in the meta. And I thought where to start off, but with the new jobs. So we'll start with the Reaper. And straight off the bat, let's just be honest. The Reaper is the job to be right now. It really is. It's just hands down the bee's knees. There's nothing that you can really complain about when it comes to this job. So if we're setting the bar, we're just gonna be honest. The Reaper sets the bar in S tier. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. The Reaper is the DPS job everybody wants their job to be. Has great buffs, great damage. It's mobile. It's versatile. It is what every job wants to be. It's what the monk wants to be. It's what the ninja wants to be. It's what the samurai wants to be. But as of now, the Reaper takes the spot for DPS as being the most meta. Now, the next new job, of course, is the Sage. And the Sage is definitely very versatile. It is versatile when it comes to damage, healing, shielding. They really just kind of took the Astrologian and said, no, it can't do that, but this job can. Because it can heal. It heals pretty good. It has outstanding barrier abilities. Like, it is the barrier healer you want on your team. If I had to make a raid team, I'm having White Mage and Sage. White Mage is boop, quick heals, simple, easy abilities, not too hard. And Sage is the, well, I'll shield you. Also throw this on you. Now every time I do damage, you get healed. So I put the Sage as the S tier for healers. Now we're gonna get into, let's just throw a tank on the board. And I hate to say it, but this guy right here is right there. The warrior, with all of its defensive cooldowns and everything, is the job to be. It doesn't need a healer in a dungeon party. It heals itself. It will run and scream and do whatever the hell it pleases. That job needs no help. In dungeons, that job is its own boss. And who knows, one of these days, it might just turn around on all of us and kill us all. But with that being said, now that we've done one from every class, we're now just going to do it as presented on this tier list. And that will start off with the Astrologian. And I'm going to be honest, straight out the gate, I haven't touched the Astrologian a whole lot at all. But in my general opinion, when I look at FF logs, which we shouldn't take FF logs as serious as some people do. And yes, it kind of shows where the meta's at and how it is reflecting on all servers. But there's more to it than the numbers it gives. But if I'm being honest, I would put the Astrologian on a B. It is still a very versatile healer. It is still one of the healers you either want or need. Like, let's be honest. Between it and the White Mage, we all know the White Mage is more of a basic kit when it comes to healing. It also has one of the best stuns, really, honestly, that does damage. But let's move on to the Bard. And I know this is going to get where it gets a little bit confrontational, because I think the Bard's in a really good spot. Some people might not agree with me, and they might not think it's in the meta. I think the Bard is a B tier job. I don't think it's crazy, but if I'm looking at the range DPS, I'm sitting here thinking, the Machinist. It's doing Machinist things. The Dancer needs buffed. The Dancer needs buffed. Its damage is really low compared to all others. And if I'm looking at the Bard, I'm looking like, no, damage is there. It's giving itself buffs now. Its buffs are a little bit better. It has a little bit more abilities. I think the Bard's in a good spot. I think it deserves a little bit of buff. I think all range DPS, honestly, need a little bit of buff. I would honestly say the Machinist kind of needs a little rework to it. It needs to bring more to the table like the Dancer and Bard do. It doesn't really offer any big buffs. But that's enough for the Bard. Now, the Black Mage. And I've been cited several times saying that the Black Mage is just stand still, do damage. And I'm sticking to it. I seriously think that is all that job is stand still, do damage. I mean, you can't tell me I'm wrong. Yes, it takes a higher game knowledge of where you should set your ley lines, where you should move, how much movement you should doing, how to weave your spells, your rotation. Like, the job has some nuance to it. But you do stand there a lot and just use fire. I mean, you could almost be put in Smash Bros. And called Ness and just use PK fire. Or PK fire. Mess that all up. But you can't say the Black Mage is terrible. The Black Mage's damage is always going to be where it's going to be. And it's always going to be super strong. That's just how that job rolls. Now, we're on to the Dancer. And the Dancer, unfortunately, I'm putting it just below the Bard. It just doesn't bring... It's good that it can buff somebody, have a dance partner. That's all good. I really wish the job did more damage. Meta-wise, I think that's what it lacks. Because this game is heavy on wanting you to do damage. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. That's just what the game wants. It wants you to do damage. And if you're not doing the damage, well, sad to say, but you're kind of at the bottom. That's just how it goes. But I will say this. With the patches upcoming, I do think the Dancer will get moved in a position, because Yoshi P's done stated that he doesn't want to nerf the Reaper. He wants all the other jobs to get brought up to where the Reaper is, which I have a problem with, because not all jobs can just be damage kings, buff kings. There has to be a balance, but you can't just bring every job to the same level. And I don't think they're going to do that. But it's a little bit dangerous when you're thinking, okay, every job needs to be more like the Reaper, instead of the Reaper being like, maybe it's too powerful. There's definitely a conflict you got to have within that. But I do think the Dancer does need a buff. It needs more damage. And we're going to take a slight interruption on this to say, hey, you have a Twitch channel? Do you watch Twitch? We should go over and just follow my Twitch channel. Be sure, link in the description down below. And while you're already scrolling down the description, you might as well slap that subscribe button right in the middle of your screen. Just slap it. And if you enjoyed any of my commentary on this tier list, give it a like. If you don't dislike it. But hey, all the engagement helps, so that's my call to action. So, back to the tier list. Woo-woo! The Dark Knight. Now, the Dark Knight, It's in a funny place. It's doing damage. But it just doesn't have it. It doesn't feel like a tank to me. And I love tanks in Heaven's Ward, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers. And I'm starting to get back into it in Endwalker. Of course, towards the end of Shadowbringers, I was really on my ninja grind. And I was enjoying the ninja. It's fun. But I've fallen back into hating the Q times for DPS. So I've been playing on my tanks a little bit. And I've noticed that the tanks, they're in a funny position. I think the Dark Knight is powerful. It has damage. But it just doesn't have the tank abilities to go along with it. And I know you're going to say the Blackest Night. I think that ability is the most overhyped one there is. I very strongly agree with Xeno when it comes to the Blackest Night. I don't think it's near as strong as a lot of people say it is. But I don't think the job's dog water. So that being said, I'd put the Dark Knight at a B for not bad, but not amazing. Dragoon. Okay, the Dragoon's in a funny situation. It's almost being completely phased out by the Reaper, in my opinion. I think that since they share the same gear and they both share the cool aesthetics, I think I've noticed a lot more Reapers recently than I've noticed Dragoons. And that's not to say Dragoons are dead and they're a waste of a job. I think the Dragoons just need a buff. I think the Dragoons are pretty cool. I like the rotation. I don't know exactly how it goes because I haven't really leveled it up to 90. But I don't really say it's a terrible job. So with that being said, I would put the Dragoon as a B tier in the meta. I think it's not super weak. I think it's a low B tier. I think it's almost on its way to C tier with the Dancer. Because if you're going to have melee DPSs, you're usually going to go Samurai, Reaper, and then a Caster. And honestly, the other spot can be saved for whatever. But I don't see the Dragoon being used as a lot in the meta. It's kind of hit and miss on it. Now for the Gunbreaker. One of the better tanks, honestly. It's got some cool abilities. Its rotation's still a little finicky and glitchy, and it still has like bad rotation stuff. Like, continuation needs to be reworked. It's a little bit slower. Or not slower. It's a little bit odd where you gotta put it and it can mess up your rotation in general. But the Gunbreaker, I think, is just as good as the Warrior. I do think the Warrior's better, but I do think the Gunbreaker's in a good spot. I mean, really, there's not much to say to it. It doesn't really need a buff. It just needs some things worked out in its rotation and its kit. Like, honestly, that's all it really needs. Nothing really needs to change about it. Just where the skills line up. They're a little bit rubbing together. It needs to be fixed. Now the Machinist. The Machinist is just like the Dancer. It brings something to the table, but it's lacking in other areas. It's not blow my mind like, whoa, it's bad. It's bad. And it needs some quality of life changes. But I don't think it's terrible. And that's really all I gotta say about that job. I mean, I've played it and Bard quite a bit, and I still prefer the Bard, but the rotation of the Machinist is a lot easier, in my opinion. Now, on to the Monk. And I'm gonna be honest, I have never touched the Monk. I've looked at it, thought it was cool, and then just said, nope. And at first it was positionals. Now they're getting rid of the positionals, which I thought was the identity of the job. So I can't really be honest on where it is in my heart as a job. But honestly, this is meta tier list anyway, so that doesn't matter. But if I'm thinking melee DPS, I'm still not wanting to bring it. I think it's a C tier job. I think it doesn't stack up to the Reaper. It doesn't stack up to the Samurai. And it almost gets to the Dragoon, but I think the Dragoon is just not played. Like, I think a lot of people are having trouble being like, I want a Dragoon over a Reaper or a Samurai. I think they're having a hard time saying they want that over that. And this honestly doesn't tell you if your job is able to be played. It just tells you, like, look, this is what traditionally raid groups are bringing. Or this is where they stack on which are being used more in raid groups. And the Dragoon's it's just barely out of the mark. And the monk's under the Dragoon, in my opinion. I don't think it's as versatile as it needs to be. I think it's not terrible, but I don't think it's amazing. And that's almost where the Ninja fits. The Ninja has problems with its kit, and they've worked on it already a little bit, and I still think it's kind of an issue. All it really has that you mainly want for the team is Trick Attack. That's all you really want from it. But with the Reaper there, it's like, well, don't really need Trick Attack. The Reaper's got more damage, and it's got better moves. And I don't think the Ninja needed gap closers. I would have liked to see a little bit more range moves added, in my opinion. I like the gap closers. They look cool, make you feel like you're Sasuke from Naruto, but that's all they really are. Just cool, flashy moves. So the Ninja just needs a couple potency buffs, a little bit work on its rotation, and it'll probably go right back to where it was. And this has come from somebody that loves playing the Ninja and is currently leveling up as Ninja. I just think it's in a weird position. And that's why I have to give it a C. I can't give it a B. I mean, I could, but wouldn't really be honest. This is my thoughts. And on to the Paladin. And I feel sad for the little Paladin boy. Little Paladin boy right here. They done cut your damage. You got a great mitigation and tanking. They're like, you're great. They just didn't give you the damage. And that's ultimately kind of why I put it next to the Dark Knight. I think the Dark Knight has what the Paladin needs, and the Paladin has what the Dark Knight needs. If they could just come together and work together, that would be a team. And that's ultimately all it is about the Paladin. Like, it just lacks damage. I can't say I would want it over a Gunbreaker or a Warrior. Like, they all have their cases, and if you're wanting to go easy mode, bring a Paladin, better tanking. That's really all. Now for the Red Mage. The Red Mage is very versatile. Very versatile. Why? Raise. Raise. Raise, 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 raise. Ver-raise. That's the whole reason. That's the whole reason that job's versatile. It's cool, fun, does good damage. Ver-raise. It's a caster that helps its healers. That's really all it is. And that's not any spite or slight towards it. I love the Red Mage. I like the way it looks. I like the way it plays. I like its abilities. I just think that's why it's there. And the Samurai. And the Samurai is a D tier. It's terrible. No, I'm just kidding. It's an A tier. Samurai, good damage. Little couple things I gotta work out, but it's not too terrible. Nothing really changed about the job. Just the Reaper came along and people love the Reaper. That's all it really is. But the Samurai is not in a bad spot. It's not in a terrible spot. It just needs a couple things to be worked out. I know we're getting towards the end of the tier list, and this is a long video so far. But, hey. The things we do for the game. Now, on to the third from last job. The Summoner. I main the Summoner during A Realm Reborn, I didn't think it was a terrible job. I didn't. It was not fun to play. Kind of boring. And the pet interaction with it is kind of finicky. But honestly, I'd put it right next to Astrologian. I can't argue why I would want it over the Sage. Other than its movement. You buff everybody's movement and you're all zooming around like Yumi in League of Legends. But other than that, it's nothing crazy. I mean, it's a barrier healer. It's one of the more traditional barrier healers in my opinion. But it falls shy to the new job that got added and has a little bit more versatility toward it. I don't think it's a terrible job. I don't think it's A tier. I think it's a B tier. I think it's right there with the Astrologian. It's kind of like you can take the White Mage and Sage, and you can argue why you take an Astrologian instead of the White Mage. But you can't do the same with Scholar and Sage. You really can't. If I'm wanting a team, I want the Sage. It's versatile. It brings simple shielding. It brings good abilities. It's just the job to be for a barrier healer. And now to the third new job. The Summoner. And I'm gonna be honest, Summoner's not bad. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. I miss the dot mechanics. That made it a little bit more hectic. It also felt better in my opinion. And I know this is the Summoner everybody wants. I think it's missing some damage. That's truly how I feel. I think it needs more damage. I think if it's supposed to be the in-between between the Red Mage and Black Mage, it needs something. Because I can't argue why you take a Summoner over a Red Mage. Or over a Black Mage. I can say this, like if you just love the job, there's no reason for you to get off your job. There's no reason if you play any of these jobs and you notice I ranked it low, why you should go to another job. There's no reason. Because this is just tier list. It tells you where the meta lies, but all jobs can be played in any meta and it doesn't really matter. So honestly, this whole video is pointless. All jobs are playable. It's just fun to rank them where you think they're at and see how it stacks up to other people's opinions. It's honestly the whole point of this video. But with me spilling the beans on that, we're going to go on to the last job. Summoner's not bad, not good. Or not amazing, not bad. It's a B tier. The White Mage. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to put the White Mage right there so we can make an L shape for the L that the Scholar has to hold while the Sage holds the W. White Mage is White Mage. There's really... Just give it the blood for the Blood Lily, for God's sake. I'm tired of hearing it. It's what the Paladin is. It's the baseline for healers. You want a tank? Well, best way to learn it is play Paladin. You want to heal? Best place to learn it? White Mage. They're the basis of the jobs. Like, if you're trying to learn healer, play White Mage. If you're trying to learn tank, play Paladin. And they're just the staples of Final Fantasy. The White Mage has always been there, and the Paladin's always been there. You've always had that connection. And that's it. That's the tier list. Man, looking at it, I can see where I'd move some things around, but I'm gonna leave it just how it is. Definitely, this is all subject to change. Like I said, a little bit of a tweak on the Dancer, and it's suddenly above the Bard. A little bit tweak from the rotation on the Ninja, a little bit, and just potencies, and boom, it's above the Dragoon. A little bit, bring the damage back to the Paladin, and it's suddenly above all tanks. Bring the Samurai up with some damage, and boom, it's on par with the Reaper. That's really how it goes, honestly. But with all that being said, that is today's video. Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been some time since I've uploaded. I appreciate everybody that's subscribed to the channel already. If you are not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. And be sure to go check out my Twitch channel in the link below. With all that being said, peace, keep it easy, and have a good day.